At the Palace of Westminster, the clock keeper rings the massive 13.7-ton bell. Big Ben roars. After hearing it sound so often, Londoners have become insensitive to it. They never stop, look, or listen. Only the tourists and one man stand still. Amid the crowd, a gentleman watches Big Ben closely. He pulls a pocket watch from his right pocket right on time, then a wristwatch from his left. His face lights up. It is also exactly on time. Smiling, Hans Wilsdorf puts both items back in his pockets. With a confident step, he heads toward 83 Hatton Garden. Hans pushes open the door of a retail shop. On it, a sign reads Wilsdorf and Davis. 3 years later, this sign will be replaced by another. 5 letters in sparkling glass, Rolex. Until then, Hans stays locked in his workshop. Big Ben proved him right. The wristwatch he created works perfectly. Now, all he has left to do is sell it, and as you might guess, he will succeed brilliantly. 120 years after its creation, Rolex has a revenue of about $11.5 billion. That's almost as much as the combined revenue of its 5 main competitors: Cartier, Omega, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, and Richard Mille. And the brand has a market share that exceeds 30%, which has never happened before. And it doesn't plan to stop there, because from 2023 to 2024, the company recorded a net growth of 45%. And that's while most of its watches cost between 5,000 and 35,000 euros. Rolex does not dominate the luxury watch market. It sets the rules. And that's not just because these watches are of good quality. It's mainly thanks to something much more powerful than that: its marketing strategy. Rolex is a war machine, a tank designed to break through all psychological barriers. An armored vehicle that manages to make you believe that, yes, spending 100,000 euros on a watch is perfectly normal. And in 10 minutes, you'll understand exactly how. Hi, entrepreneur mindset. I hope you're doing well. After many requests in last year's video about luxury brands, especially Rolex, a lot of you gave me your opinion about the brand, its perceived and actual quality. I finally decided to explore the history of this iconic company, despite many gray areas. Today, we'll break down the 4 strategies Rolex uses to sell $100,000 watches. And the craziest thing about all this isn't their price, it's that their customers actually fight to buy them. You'll understand just how much this company has managed to brainwash us. All right, let's get started. First, there's something I haven't told you about Hans Wilsdorf. Born in Kulmbach, Germany in 1881, he lost his parents at a very young age. His uncles raised him and his brothers, sending them to boarding school. When he leaves school, Hans becomes an apprentice in a company that exports pearls, then goes on to join a pocket watch import business. This experience will upend his life and reshape the world. For 2 years, every day, Hans winds pocket watches. He takes them apart, examines them, and sets them to the correct time. And in doing so, he discovers the fascinating mechanics of these jewels. In 1905, Hans decides to strike out on his own. Thanks to a financial boost from Alfred Davis, his brother-in-law, he opens his company Wilsdorf and Davis, and he intends to do things differently. In 1905, the pocket watch reigns over the world of watchmaking. Wristwatches, by contrast, are avoided as they're seen as unreliable, inefficient, and hard to repair. Both ladies and gentlemen don't want to hear about them anymore. Despite that, he decides to bet on wristwatches. He will produce them and make them accessible to everyone. For that, he will collaborate with the Jean Egler Company, a Swiss business located in Vienna. A year later, Hans will buy out his business partner's shares. Little by little, Hans's watches start to gain ground. And on July 2nd, 1908, he registers a brand that you all know, Rolex. Legend has it that he came up with the word while traveling through London on an omnibus, and that a good fairy would have whispered the word in his ear. He tried every letter combination until he found Rolex. But the battle isn't over. Wristwatches still have a reputation for losing time, but you know, for watches, that's not a good look. Hans perfects his creations to break this myth. In 1910, Rolex was the first wristwatch to get the Swiss Chronometric Precision Certificate. Soon after, the Kew Observatory in Great Britain awarded Rolex a Class A certificate for precision. Of exceptionally high standards, considered among the world's most rigorous at the time. Previously, only British Navy chronometers had this distinction before Rolex. Their watches overturned the prejudices of the time. They gained a reputation for being exceptionally reliable. Rolex watches became popular among the British elite. In 1919, everything changed. Rolex moved to Geneva, not to get closer to skilled craftsmen, but to escape taxes. And yes, tax optimization isn't something new. Since 1914, World War I occurred both during and after. The United Kingdom will raise taxes considerably, including a 33.3% hike on luxury goods and watch component imports. Because Wilsdorf and Davis, based in London, imported parts from Switzerland for assembly in the United Kingdom, these taxes made manufacturing costly. Hans and his associates don't want to pay. So, to avoid these massive import costs on their components, they decide to relocate the entire production and the company to Switzerland. So they moved to Geneva, and the following year, in 1920, they register Rolex Société Anonyme there. That's where Rolex will continue to push technological boundaries and shatter preconceived ideas. In the 21st century, everyone said the same thing. Getting a watch wet means ruining it for good. So, Rolex is tackling this rumor. In 1953, the company created the Submariner, the first watch designed for divers. It can descend to 100 meters deep. To prove it, Rolex showcases it in aquariums and sponsors athletes. Customers worried about water damaging their watch, so Rolex will create technology to prevent such disasters. The company keeps pushing tech boundaries. The Sea Dweller 4000 in 1978, the Greenwich Mean Time, Master for Aviation, the Cerachrome bezel, and the Blue Parachrome hairspring in 2005 to withstand extreme conditions. These are just some advancements we owe to Rolex. Caliber 4130, Yachtmaster 2 Skydweller, Caliber 2236 and 3255. Rolex continually innovates. The company has done this since its founding and doesn't plan to stop. In popular imagery, Rolex represents progress, technology, and innovation, which is why customers spend thousands of euros without hesitation. Well, for that, and for another reason, maybe less admirable, which we'll talk about later. You know what they say, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your friends are involved in shady activities, you'll have a big danger label on you. And that's true even if you're the type who helps old ladies cross the street. If your friends are elite, people will talk about you. That you're elegant, that you're sophisticated, that you're a top performer. That's why in 1926, Rolex launched the first influencer campaign. On October 7, 1927, after 15 hours and 15 minutes battling the waters of the Channel, Mercedes Glades touched land. The swimmer is exhausted, but she did it. She became the first British woman to swim across the Channel. Tired yet happy, she poses for photographers. The paparazzi's shots capture an object around her neck. A Rolex Oyster, the world's first waterproof and airtight wristwatch, featuring a revolutionary case that protects the movement from water and dust. But don't confuse it with the Submariner I mentioned earlier. Despite spending 15 hours in the water, the Rolex Oyster remains intact, and Rolex will recount this achievement in a full-page ad in the Daily Mail. The company showed their promise was more than just words. But above all, Rolex made its name go down in history. Mercedes Glades broke a record, and Rolex was by her side the whole time. In 1933, he led the Flying Over Everest expedition to photograph the mountain. The pilots know the journey will be dangerous, and at such an altitude in such cold, every minute counts. They need a watch that will work even in atrocious weather. Logically, they choose a Rolex Oyster. Once again, the watch becomes part of history through a strategic partnership. Other achievements will follow. In 1935, Sir Malcolm Campbell broke the land speed record with a Rolex on his wrist. In 1953, Rolex introduced the Watches of Achievers collection for extreme sports. That same year, the brand unveiled the famous Rolex Submariner, which is water-resistant up to 100 meters. Even in remote places, Rolex watches keep you on track, proven by Sir John Hunt in Tenzing Norgay's expedition. In 1953, the two men reached the summit of Mount Everest. To time their ascent, they chose the Oyster Perpetual. Obviously, in 2012, the brand created the experimental Rolex Deep Sea Challenge. It was a prototype built to accompany explorer James Cameron on his record descent into the Mariana Trench. Certified up to 12,000 meters, this watch then broke the record for the deepest diving watch in the world. Building on this achievement, Rolex launched the commercial Deep Sea Challenge model in 2022. Inspired by the prototype, this titanium consumer version is certified water-resistant to 11,000 meters. The idea is the same: to accompany those who push the boundaries of the known world. Rolex sponsors many prestigious events such as the Vienna Biennale, the Academy of Arts and Sciences, and Roland Garros. The Red Bull of watches. By the way, if you're interested in a video about the energy drink, let me know in the comments. Be careful. These associations aren't random. Contrary to popular belief, not all publicity is good. The name of your product shouldn't be mentioned in certain conversations, only in those that inspire admiration. Lacoste, Gucci, and Burberry are familiar with this, as we've shown, and Rolex knows it too. Mercedes Glades, Sir Malcolm Campbell, flying over Everest. These men are synonymous with courage, perseverance, and hope. By linking with these figures, the brand symbolizes those qualities. Wearing a Rolex is much more than just telling the time. It's a statement of your own determination and your ability to believe in your dreams. We're willing to pay a premium for that, but Rolex takes it even further. Partnering with the right people isn't enough. You must build a legacy. Rolex exemplifies this. In 1976, the brand launched the Awards for Enterprise, which honor courageous individuals who take on major challenges. In 2002, the watchmaker started a mentorship program. The same principle holds. Rolex's values live on through young talents. The same applies to the Perpetual Planet Initiative, launched in 2019. Here, Rolex does more than just strengthen its brand image. It firmly anchors it in the minds of future generations. Rolex becomes more than just a company. It is now a historical monument, and it's extremely effective because it creates a legitimate legacy that will continue to propel the brand into the future. Thanks to this, the company can use one last lever, the most powerful of all. You can enter a Chanel boutique and leave 10 minutes later with a timeless bag. With Rolex, that will never happen. And that's certainly its most powerful strategy. You will have to wait several weeks or even several months to have, listen to me carefully, the privilege of buying a watch. Yes, you're going to spend thousands of euros, but it's a privilege. For some models like the Daytona, the wait is at least 5 years. You heard right, 5 years. If you want to wear one, we'll see each other again in 2030 unless you're lucky and you already have one. You get it. It's not because Rolex can't produce more. It's because Rolex doesn't want to produce more. The brand deliberately created this shortage. You need to understand. Rolex isn't for everyone. These are watches that mark the passage to an important milestone. Buy a Rolex after earning your first million? Or, as Jacques Seguela said, if you don't have a Rolex by the age of 50, you've still missed your life. Without saying a word, Rolex watches send a message. I've accomplished something important. Watches must stay exclusive. By limiting watch stock, Rolex creates urgency and desire, making consumers overlook the price. They only care that owning one makes them part of a privileged few. This will create urgency. Another lever of power, demand becomes greater than supply. Rolex watches aren't just for telling time. They're a status symbol showing you belong to the elite. And that's priceless. Well, actually, it's 100,000 euros. And that brings us to our 2 business mindset lessons that we can take from this story and apply to our own business. Lesson 1, perceived image matters more than the actual product. A Rolex isn't for telling time, it's for giving meaning. The company never sold watchmaking precision, it sold stories. Stories of self-improvement, exploration, success. Stories in which the customer dreams of taking part. If you want to sell at a high price, don't sell a product, sell an identity. The second lesson is that exclusivity can be created, even artificially. Rolex doesn't follow demand, it guides it. Unlike typical supply and demand, Rolex intentionally limits supply. Producing fewer watches increases desire, wait times, and perceived value. It's a masterclass in narrative control. Even though technically Rolex could produce more, it prefers to frustrate the market to maintain its status as a reward object, a symbol of social elevation. Scarcity is not a matter of capacity, it's a strategic positioning tool. It's a lesson that would serve Burberry well, which completely destroyed its luxury status because of strategic mistakes that turned it into Marco Rabbit. As you can see in the video,